Well, recently I took my car to an automotive place to get an estimate for some repairs I may be able to get paid for it. Pretty necessary repairs. So anyway, I found myself just walking around on Juan Tabo, which is like a pretty major street in eastern Albuquerque. And people probably saw me that knew me and were like, what's up with him? But I don't mind walking around. But it's kind of interesting in an urban environment. On one utility box, it just said meth, fent. Like, oh my gosh, this is like right out in the open. And then this morning, driving by that box, there's a little black truck parked right next to it. Anyway, so I walked to different thrift stores. I went to a place that I'm debating whether or not I should name it or not. I just don't want to start something because I'm going to tell a damning story. Squirrels heard it. Squirrel knows. Let's just say it's near Wendy's. And it's not a place I had ever been before. I'd been to it when it was a previous sort of business. Anyway, la la la. It's kind of hot out. I'm happy to escape into an air-conditioned store. Look around. There's not many books. It's smallish and new. And there are a couple of shelves with books. Some amusing ones like The Sex Technique in Marriage from 1950. I'm like, whoa. Or a really early Michael Jackson biography in paperback, kind of beat up. And then there was this, and I've heard of the Whole Earth catalog, but I don't know that I'd ever even seen one before. But apparently this thing was like a famous institution, sort of the neo-Sears of its day. Look at that. Squirrel up on top is the daughter, and Prisma on the ground is the mother. But now I think they respect each other as peers. I mean, I know we're talking about some catalog, but it's hard not to put the camera over here. Remember, any donations ever made to this channel will trickle down to the cats. In this one case, I believe in trickle-down economics. That's at Michael Farrell Smith on PayPal. Also, I don't care, whatever. I'm doing this channel for all sorts of reasons. I'm generating the material, I think, for like maybe a feature-length documentary about books. I'm going to make like a series of documentaries, I think, in my life, each around a theme. And I'll do one about books. Maybe someday I'll do one about work, one about family, one about neighborhood. Things like that. Just, as long as I'm alive, just keep making works around a theme. Trying to kind of do the same thing in documentary form that I've done in book form. And I can use YouTube channels as generators of this material. Because that's really a trick. I've had many essays that have come about from collected tweets, and also one of Facebook status updates. Some notes from a slowly dying suburbanite was all Facebook status updates written in a sort of caricatured version of myself at the time with young children. A persona kind of comically unhappy. The last Whole Earth catalog, access to tools. So I'm kind of a scholar of the Placitas hippie communes that were at the north end of the Sandia Mountains back in the early 70s. And they were really interesting. They built these amazing structures and shelters. There's another large book that has those Placitas shelters in them. Maybe that was a vogue in the early 70s. Really big books, man. You want it to be like giant, right? Okay. Groovy. But there are some Placitas structures in here somewhere. Let's see. Oh yeah, I knew some of the people that lived there, the DeBucks. My good friends growing up was Joey DeBuck and R.I.P. Billy DeBuck. And yeah, this is all Placitas. Dome Valley was one of the communes there. Really beautiful stuff. Yeah, there's some really far out structures out there. There's one, I'm trying to find this image. It was like this spire made of multicolored stained glass. It's huge. This is it inside, I think, but I'm trying to see. Anyway, those are some interesting communes. The biggest commune scene in the West back in those days was Taos, New Mexico. And I've been up there to the New Buffalo commune and stayed there. Had a really neat experience there last summer. Working for a wilderness camp, and we stayed there, and all the trekkers did work out in the fields all around it, singing like American Pie on a recording. I mean, incredible. Got a head injury there, and I had this wild dream that was like experiencing the past. I have an awesome dream life, but that was unusually vivid. Because it was just like the hippies would have done back then, sleeping out. It's pretty cool. Some of them are still sticking around. They're just really old. The place is owned now by a doctor who was practicing as a doctor during the 60s, and so he missed out on all the 60s, and he's kind of reliving it. But the second biggest commune scene in the West was Placitas, New Mexico, now rather forgotten by Main Street. This cat is adorable. What? I mean, I can't even function by how cute she is. Squirrel, you're amazing. Anyway, that Placitas scene was a big, crazy scene. Allen Ginsberg hung out there on the prowl. Robert Redford later bought land in Placitas, but he wasn't really in that scene, I don't think. Dennis Hopper was a bit. But the big center of the Placitas scene was this guy who's pretty crazy, named Ulysses S. Grant. He believed he was the reincarnation of Ulysses S. Grant and of Vulcan, the Roman god of fire. And his horse was the reincarnation of Ulysses S. Grant's horse. He ran for governor, but he refused to wear shoes or get in a car, so it was hard for him to campaign. Someone who had been a little girl in Placitas said she was sitting at a bus stop one time. She told me this. She now lives in Placitas and has many artifacts from the early communes, like the watercolored book of law that this guy Ulysses S. Grant made. I have a scan of it in my book, Towns of the Sandia Mountains. Look at that cat. What's up, Piers? Look at that trashy yard. Everything the light touches will be one day be yours. Wait. Got it from here. This is my first book. Yeah, my book has a chapter on Placitas. To drive west from Sandia Park is to drive up. The road turns and buildings vanish, and nothing remains but mountains and valleys, the green softness of trees on the terraced crags of tilting cliffs. Pines fall past, rocks rise up, oaks fall past, and the picnic ground of balsam glade appears on the right. Charlotte Ellis, she's so cool. First skier in the Sandias. She saw a picture in a book and was like, make me some of these, to her brother. Discovered all these plant species, just living out frontier life. Sent all the samples to the Smithsonian, some of which are still named after her. She's pretty cool. She wrote a great journal, and I read her whole journal, and anyone that reads her journal will be like, well, she's awesome. It's in the Center for Southwest Research Archives. At least a copy of it is. The original's in Denver, I think. I'm like, I can just show Placitas. See, there's Sandia Park. Oh, wait, there's Placitas on here. Is it on here? There it is. It's farther up there. I used to just obsess over maps of this area. I had this 1870s map, and I was trying to find everything on it right around here. Placitas, Ojo de la Casa, Tecolote, Tejon, Hagen, Unidagato, Golden. These were all, yeah, that was the area that was on that map. It may have gone up to Algodones. But I don't think so. Or down here, especially around here, with the Placitas area. Anyway, I felt like I was creating this whole thing. I called it map lensing because I found the most amazing stuff. I found Ojo de la Casa, which was like, I don't know, felt like that was an undocumented spot on modern maps. I found many unnamed hills. I found an old stagecoach road. I found these crazy foundations, all these prehistoric but later worked mines. Jasper and Malachite and a bunch. It was awesome. I had such a hard time getting photos for this chapter. I had to go out and volunteer to work on ditch crews just to meet people. Okay, here's photos from the original hippie communes out there. Now they're the old timers in the area. It's wild. Oh, here's a watercolor page from the law book by that Ulysses S. Grant guy. Oh yeah, he later killed a couple of people and then got murdered himself. Did not end well. God's law means perfect order. I once interviewed the guy who helped him escape. God's law means perfect order. Woe be unto those deceivers of men and servers of Satan who hearken not unto the word of God, but interpret his word to serve their own selfish ends. Oh yeah. Placitas. Propaganda for me. From long ago. Well, not that long ago. Well, 2006. That's when this book came out. This is my dad's copy. I don't have any. Yeah, I got some books back from him when his apartment got cleaned out. Sad biz. I know that rock well where that guy's sitting there. We call it Stuckel's Rock because that's Jacob Stuckel. Or Jakob Stuckel. A day laborer and gardener from Bernalillo, out on a day trip to what was then called the Garden of the Gods, and is now where I-40 tears through Terrace Canyon. And the houses of Carnwell would be in this picture too. A town just east of Albuquerque. Sorry, I just keep getting sidetracked. These are areas I know about and get invested in. But anyway, so I had this chance to get this whole Earth catalog. And because this was very influential in sending people out in to do things like the Placitas Commune experience. It was like, it was really a whole vibe, a whole like ethos, way of being. It was basically saying you can be resourceful and like live, you know, a liberated intellectual life. Joyful, celebratory, you know, outside the constraints of this society that's a mega drag, bummer dude, which it totally is. Honestly, if I ever have a whole lot of money, I'll probably start some sort of intentional living community. Like, not a weird culty thing, just like buy a bunch of land, divide it into plots, you know, have kind of an idea behind it. Like, we're all artists, we're making art, and our lives are mostly devoted to that. Live and let live, you know, keep it real simple. Josiah Warren style. You know, why not? I think the world still needs utopian idealists and stuff. But, so yeah, I get this. I think being that kind of a hippie is also being very, very punk rock, you know, pretty metal. You know, the kind Baby Squirrel likes, that defends the old folks. Like Prisma. No, she likes it too. I was really happy to get to pick a copy of this up. I paid $8 for it, and I decided to buy it before I heard what it cost. The cover was totally coming off, and I taped it on just for simple utility, because I would actually like to look at this and see what's what, you know? It looks like impenetrable, like a Maximum Rock and Roll zine or something, but also not if you just spend time with it. Maybe with a magnifying bar for my old eyes. It's so wild. It's like reading the Voynich manuscript, but let's see. I don't know, everything from another time really has its own, wow, I'm like, whoa. This for me is that Talking Heads lyric, there was a time before we were born. You know, there's an other timeliness about it, and I like owning that kind of stuff. I hesitated because it's a giant book, you know? But, I want my collection to be eclectic and, I don't know, just good, an awesome book collection, you know? I really do feel like it's a curating sort of collection, and that a lot of what I want to do with it is just constantly be giving books away, I think, and refining the collection. You know, it's fun to give people books, and it's like a thoughtful way of saying, like, whatever. And I don't exactly have a mission to promote literacy, but yeah, sure, why not? That's a good cause. I was working for Domino's Pizza for the second time in my life during one of the most pandemic-y parts of COVID. And maybe kind of right after. I don't, yeah, well, anyway. And I was visiting $5 in 1971. That must be a lot more now. I'd like to figure that out. This would have been like a $50 item maybe back then. In equivalent terms, yeah. But anyway, I would like get books from free boxes and cull books from my own collection, doubles, etc. And you know, I'm always trying to cull the collection, make it its best self, you know, but also add to it. It's the paradox of my life. Okay, I just realized this whole video is just going to be about this catalog and also barely about it. But I'll just title it that. But because I gotta go in a little bit to pick my daughter up from ice skating. Willow's 12. She's so cool. She does cool stuff. Isma, we need to brush you and give you a bath. But during the pandemic, I would collect books. I'd always have like 20 books in my car, and that was my delivery vehicle with a little light on top of it. That light meant I could go into really dangerous neighborhoods and kind of see things I wouldn't normally see. Yikes. But because of COVID restrictions at the time, I was supposed to leave all the pizza boxes outside without interacting with people. So I decided I'm just going to always leave books when I do that also. And it became like a whole thing. It was so cool. I gave over 2,000 books away during that time. I got one really grumpy complaint. Somebody that saw me take a bunch of books from a free box. That's our free box. You're supposed to take one. I want him fired. But the manager just laughed it off. But then this one lady called from a motel, and she's like, I just want to say that he is an angel. So funny. And I got people quoting that at me at work all the time. It was really funny. But I really I don't know, I like giving books away. It's fun, you know? Like, to me, what I like about literature and art is that it's like a big conversation and so on. I also like taking books, buying books, making them mine, refusing to give them to people. That's also fun. There's a balance there, you know? These cats know. Anyway, okay, boy, I've been taking a long road to get to that little story I have about this. The guy working at this place has got to be a freaking Nazi. After I bought this, he's like, so you like books, huh? Let me show you some books. And so he got out some books about German history. One about German history, about the city of Bremen. Actually a cool book. It's from 1942. And it has, what he was so excited about was that it has two very special pictures in it. And they're both of the Fuhrer. He only called him the Fuhrer. He said he went to live in Germany for 18 years because he loves Germany so much. Look at Squirrel's reaction. I mean, Squirrel was there with me mentally. We were psychically bonded at the time, communicating across time and space, and it's a little bit like experiencing both experiences at the same time. She has these mental powers, and I'm kind of a prisoner here of this cat and the other cats. Cat owners know. It's a thing that happens. They're very powerful psychic entities. So anyway, I was like, oh, Bremen, that's cool, like the fairy tale. Yeah, but look, the Fuhrer. Then I started to notice this guy had some really interesting tattoos that matched up with some things I've read and seen, heard about, because I'm interested in fringes. And his shirt had a hashtag that seemed to be an outdated far-right political thing. FJB, hashtag FJB, don't look it up. I don't know. Or do it in a way that doesn't help anybody that's a moron. You know, to me, people with ideologies like that seem so out of touch with reality. But isn't that funny? I bought the Last Whole Arts catalog from a Nazi in Albuquerque. I mean, it sucks that there's people like that out there. And you know, I had just seen some anti-Semitic graffiti on a bench, and I was like, that's weird. I've never seen anything like that around Albuquerque before. And then I had this experience at his store. I wonder if he wrote that on the bench. I scratched the stuff out on the bench with a rock. I may be pro-Palestine, but I'm not anti-Semitic. All right, I gotta go pick my daughter up. But let's open this up to a random page and just kind of look at it. So, town equipment, signs, trash cans, paints, flags. It's kind of cool. Look at that. Perfect solution for undependable or non-existent electric power supplies. So yeah, they're catering to like people trying to live off the grid. And this was part of the Back to the Earth movement. What's going on here? Hey. That's like a band. What is this? That's cool. Music by computers. That should be like on an album cover or something. Man. Oh, it's a book. What is that? A recording. Wow. I would like to hear that. I love some early electronica stuff, like Edgar Varese in the 30s, or in particular the song "Merry France" by Jean-Jacques Perret from 1969 or 68. I love that song. That's early instrumental electronica. It's glorious. When I wrote my mini-series script about walking across the country, I used that song for when we reached the lighthouse at the very end of the cliffs overlooking the ocean, because it's just like very triumphant and kind of angelic. Oh. There's some creepy masks on the bottom. Chloe's costumes. You know what? You never think that some of these hippies were clowns. That's okay. Never mind. I'm not interested in this topic anymore. JK. All right. After I went to that thrift store and had that experience, which I'm still processing, whoa. That guy's going to get, like, reported. I don't know what's going to... I mean, not by me, because I stay out of this biz. You don't want to get into internecine gang conflicts here in Albuquerque. Some of the like prison gangs are just straight up like racist gangs. The Aryan Brotherhood has a presence here. I see that tag around. Not often, thankfully. But they have a profile in the Mike's World series of Gangland Albuquerque videos. Not this Mike, different Mike. Common name. One time I went to a Facebook group called Keep Mike Smith as coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and I was all, thank you, God bless. And everyone was all, get out of here. All right, tomorrow we'll look at these books that I got at a different thrift store. A good one that's not run by Nazis. That I will mention by name. All right, take care, everybody. You know, life's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy world, you know. We're all in it. What can you do? But Prisma just wanted to say that she approves of you and thinks you're great. And Baby Squirrel has also heard of you and thinks you're good as well. Sweet Pea is somewhat indifferent to your existence most days, but overall is glad you're around. All right, I gotta go.